All right, so we're going to go through an example of a time where you have two triangles are possible, where you have two possible triangles, and we call this the ambiguous case because we don't know which one we're dealing with. Now, this is all the information you're given, an angle and two sides, right? Remember, we're side angle. And there's more information in your book on page 293. It goes into a little bit of detail. We're going into a lot of detail. So let's say you have this case, two sides and one angle, and the angle is not the included side. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a picture. I recommend drawing a picture for these. So if we've got a 43-degree angle, that's acute, maybe something like this, 43 degrees. And we don't know what side C is, so we're just taking a guess. Side B is 28, and side A is 25. Now, I notice that A is less than B. So the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out how big H is. Then I'll know how many triangles I'm dealing with. Now, I already told you that two triangles are possible, but you won't necessarily know that. So how am I going to determine what the height of that triangle is? Well, if this is an altitude, it's a right angle, so we can use sine. The sine of 43 degrees is equal to h over 28. Solve for the height. H equals 28 times the sine of 43 degrees. And I forgot my calculator, so I will be right back.
Mommy?
While I figure that out. I'm still taking the video, sweetie.
Oh.
So we got our calculator, and we want to make sure that we are in degree mode. Degree mode, great. Now I'm going to do 28 times the sine of 43, and I get 19.1 basically. So here's what that means. That means A is greater than H but less than B, which means two triangles are possible. So I could have this one at 25, but I could also have that one at 25. And so I'm going to solve for both of them. So I'm going to solve for the big triangle, the larger triangle first. And I'm going to use the law of sines to do that. The sine of 43 over 25 is equal to the sine of B, we don't know what that is yet, over 28. And we're going to find this guy first. Multiply by 28 and 25. 28 times the sine of 43 equals 25 times the sine of B. Divide both sides by 25, and we get the sine of B is some number. Now, I'm going to go right to my calculator, and I'm going to get some ratio here, 28 sine 43 over 25. But I want to find what the angle is, so I'm going to use inverse sine. So I'm going to go second sine, so that gives me the inverse sine, and then I'm just going to put in what I've got here, 28 sine 43, close that parentheses, divide it by 25, close that parentheses, and that gives me the angle, the sine of B, I'm sorry, not the sine of B, B is 49.8 degrees. 49.8. Now, if I know that that is 49.8, I can add that to 43 and subtract that from 180. And that gives me C is 87.2 degrees. Now from there, I can figure out side C, and we're better off if we use our non-rounded values. So I'm going to say sine 43 over 25 equals the sine of C, sine of 87.2 over C. And then we can solve for that. C sine 43 equals 25 sine 87.2 degrees. Divide both sides by sine 43. And we get C equals, side C equals 25 times the sine of 87.2 divided by the sine of 43. And we get side C is 36.6. Well, that makes sense if this is 25 and 28, that the larger angle, 87.2, the side opposite that would be the largest side. So maybe we would say units so we don't forget that that's the side. Now, this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to cut now and we'll come back and talk about the second triangle.